Hello everyone, nice to see you guys and nice to see you in my video. And probably for some of you, we haven't really met in person yet. That's unfortunate, but we sometime in this semester we are gonna get this fixed. Okay? Let me introduce myself. I'm an instructor. The instructor to Data Science 502, Introduction to Computational Data Science, and my name is Yang Song. Okay, well, a lot of people call me Yang Sang. I'm fine with that. I'm perfectly fine with that. But to make it to be correct, it should be Song, not Sang. And as you may have already figured out, I'm international. I'm an Asian, and I was born in China, and I came to United States, and I did my PhD in NC State, and after that, I came to UNCW, and I started teaching in 2017. Okay, and since the very first semester I started teaching at UNCW, I have been teaching the data science program. So the data science program is developing, is growing, and I'm developing my skills and growing with the data science program. So I really appreciate this program, and from my point of view, this program is fantastic, and we can make it even better. Okay, well, not just about the professors and you guys too. Well, we want you guys to be successful and skillful data science person. Okay, and in this video, I'm gonna mainly talk about my syllabus. Okay, and you know my name, and this is my email, and my office is in Condon Hall. And if you have an old campus map, and then this Condon Hall may still be called CIS building, and we changed the name of this building probably 1 year ago. And unfortunately, I'm not in Friday Annex. And if you really want to see me in person, and you can schedule a in-person meeting with me, and I will say more than 70% of the time, I will be in my office. And here's my office hours. And my office hour is Tuesday and Thursday, 1:30 to 2:30. Okay, and I'm holding office hour both online and on campus. And if you want to stop by, and I can guarantee you at this time slot, you can see me in my office. Or if you want to shoot me email and schedule a online meeting, we can do that too. And I do a lot of online meetings with my students in this semester. This is kind of a tough semester because we have to do so many online meetings. And for the class location and time, and for the class location, we are going to use our data science classroom. However, most of the lectures will be asynchronous online lecture videos like this one. Okay, so if you're watching this video and you have already found the right playlist, and then just bookmark this playlist, and then you are going to see the video updates on almost every day on this playlist. Okay, and by the way, and probably you have already seen that I'm a YouTuber, and if you want to subscribe, that's okay too. By the way, I'm not making any money by doing this. I'm just trying to find a safe and comfortable way for me to upload the video, and for my students to watch the videos. And by the way, there will be a few, okay, just a few face-to-face teaching. For most of the lecture videos, and if I'm talking about the technical stuff, I'm going to record the video like this, and then I'm going to upload them to YouTube. You can watch anytime, but probably every week you do want to watch all the posted videos because you're going to have the projects to do. And there will be a few face-to-face teaching because in those face-to-face teaching, I'm going to try to avoid talking about the technical stuff. I will talk more about my personal vision, my personal understanding about the data science world, about the job market, and what are the things you definitely want to pay attention to be successful data scientists. Okay, and then this means, well, for the face-to-face teaching, and if you are not quite comfortable with that, I'm not going to require you to come to face-to-face teaching because number one, your health, your safety is the most important thing. And number two, I'm not going to talk about the technical part. So if you miss a face-to-face lecture, you can still watch the online videos on that week and then do the homework, no problem. Okay, and then if we are doing the face-to-face teaching, and then the time will be 11:45 to 12:45, so we should be able to finish the face-to-face teaching a little bit early, and then you can have most of the afternoon for yourself. If you want to do interns, if you want to do some project, then you have almost a full afternoon. Okay, and then the textbook. Okay, we are using this textbook, and this is I usually call that the iguana textbook. And this textbook is I can't say this is a super good textbook, but it covers most of the important topic we want to talk about. And beside this textbook, and there are a few more books that I recommend you to take a look. Well, for if you are rusty with Python, say Python is your first programming language, or Python is a language that your second program language, but your first programming language is Fortran, for example, and then probably you do want to have a thorough textbook about Python, and then this is a textbook I personally recommend. That is begin to code with Python. And by the way, there are a lot of the good Python textbooks, and because Python is so popular, but this book I have is the one that I enjoy reading by myself. But if you have other good Python textbooks, and I'm okay with that. Okay, this is the first book, Begin to Code with Python. It's for the students who are not that confident with Python coding. Okay, and the next part, this is really a computer science textbook. It talks about the algorithms and data structure. Okay, and in our class we are going to talk about algorithms. I don't think we are going to do deep dives into data structure, but this is a book that if you want to have a second computer science textbook talking about this structure and algorithms, this is a good textbook to have. And for this book, there is a free online version. Okay, and okay, now the third one. This one is really my favorite book. So I talk about four books, and this one is my favorite. And if you see how small this book is, and I would say less than 200 pages. Let me see. Well, a little bit more than 200 pages. And this book has to be a third Python book. It requires you to know Python really well. It requires you to have some experience with real projects, big projects with Python. And then, if you read this book, and then you will have better understanding on what to do and what to avoid when you are coding Python. If you just started coding Python, and then probably you are not quite ready for this book yet, but just keep leave a mark for you. This book is one of the textbook at one of the book. It's not really a textbook, but this is one of the book I definitely recommend after you have been doing Python for some time, and read this book. And then if you have better idea on how you can write really good book with Python, a good code with Python. Okay, and then the next part, probably you are interested in this, and then what will be how are we going to do the testing, and then how will the grade how are we going to have the final grade. Okay, there will be one take-home exam, and it will release on November the 23rd, and then you will have 5 business days to finish that. And then for the final exam, the good news is, and if you want to work in pairs, you can do that, or if you want to do that just by your individual, and that's also okay. So you can make the decision by yourself. Okay, and if there's some unexpected thing happen and you really can't finish the take home final exam on time, and well, let me know as soon as possible, because in this way, and I might be work with the dean of the student office, and then you might be able to have an I. I'm not promising that, but you might be able to receive an I for now, saying that is incomplete, and then at the beginning of next semester, let's figure out what can we do. But if you really have trouble doing the final exam, like you are really sick or there's some family emergency, let me know ASAP. Okay, and then well, those are the how we break down the points in this course. So we are going to have 5 labs, and for those 5 labs, and then you are going those 5 labs will be 30% toward your final score. Okay, and then for each of the lab, you can decide to work by yourself or in pairs, but so up to two. Okay, and if you decide to work in pairs and only one of you need to submit, well, you don't have to make the submission. You don't have to submit the same file. Only one of you need to do the submission. Okay, and for the course project, that is a big thing. Well, for the course project, I'm gonna require you to come up with a cool idea, a cool topic you want to work. Okay, and then you have to give me a proposal. I'm gonna review that, and if I say, okay, this proposal sounds interesting, the questions you are seeking answers are interesting questions, and I believe you should be able to do that. And then I'm going to give you a sum up saying, okay, go ahead and continue down this road. And there could be some other cases that when I review a proposal, I find, okay, this proposal is too easy, or this proposal is really too aggressive. I don't think you can finish in the rest of this fall semester. And then I may either say, okay, this proposal is rejected, or I'm gonna make some other suggestions based on the problem. Okay, so the goal is you have to find a interesting data set on a domain you are interested in, and then make a proposal. Tell me what are the problems you are seeking answers, and then they'll tell me how if what are the possible challenging points in this proposal. So, and then give me a reasonable estimate on how this can be evaluated. And this is a lot, right? And the reason I'm asking you to do this is, well, you have to be able to do something big. Well, yes, in Dr. Brown's course and then in my course, and you will have daily exercise, daily coding pieces, and you can do small pieces of the coding. But well, your skills are not combined and tested unless you are doing a big project, and this course project will be the big project. And also remember that you are required to do a technical presentation, and it will be a synchronous online. Well, this is my plan, but well, later I may change it to a asynchronous recorded video. So for this part, I haven't really decided yet, but remember, you have to do a presentation. You have to present your idea and then your findings to all the students in our class, and probably I will also invite some people from the computer science department and the faculties in the data science. Okay, and eventually you have a take-home final exam, and that is 30% toward your total course score, and then you can work by yourself, or if you want to work in pairs, that's also fine. Oh, and by the way, I forgot to talk about this. So for the course project, if you want to work in pairs or 3-person, that's okay. But if you have a cool idea, you really want to work on this, and you struggle in finding another team member, but you are motivated enough, you want to do that by yourself, I'm okay with that. Okay, And the next thing, the final letters, and this is how the final letters will be assigned. And if you get 90 to 92, you're gonna get A minus, and if you got 93 plus, you're gonna get an A. And remember, we are doing a graduate course, so there's no C minus, there's no D, and if you get lower than 73, you are gonna get an F. Okay, and at the end of this semester, if I after doing the grading spreadsheet, and if I feel I really have to select the grading, the boundary of the letters, and I will do that by myself. And usually I don't have to do that, and I know you guys are good students. Okay, and here are a few other course policies. And for the attendance, well, our lecture videos are asynchronous online. So, are you really watching this video in the classroom? And if so, that's cool, but you don't have to do so. And if you are watching this video in the library or on your couch, I'm fine with that as long as you are learning. Okay. Well, and for the face-to-face lectures, and there will be a few face-to-face lectures, and if you are not comfortable with the face-to-face lectures, that you don't want to come to campus, that's fine. But if you are coming to campus, and then if the number of the students beyond the capacity of the data science classroom, and then as Dr. Brown did, I may have to ask some of the students to go to another room, and then we just stream the lecture. Okay. And then for the late submission, I understand the best thing may happen, and then you just forget to submit things. And when I was a student, I have done this too. So for the late submission rule is, if you are late by no more than 24 hours, there will be a 10% penalty. And if you're no later than 48 hours, there will be a 30% penalty. But if you are late more than 48 hours, and then I will say, no, I'm not accepting late submission more than 48 hours. Okay. And then we only have a final exam. And if you miss the final, and then you didn't let me know early enough, it will be really hard for me to give you a makeup exam for the final. So I may give you an I for incomplete, but that's not promised. So again, if there's something happen at the end of this semester, and you feel you may not be able to take the final, let me know ASAP. Okay. And uh, academic integrity, very, very important. And you simply don't grab some other's work and say that is your own work. And almost every year since I came to UNCW, I I brought some students to the dean of the student office. So I have had ugly talks in the dean of the student office. I have had students cry in my office. Why? Why? Because I spotted some suspected cases of the violation of the academic integrity rules, and then by by the regulation of UNCW. As long as I compare two artifacts, I suspect they are similar enough to be a plagiarism. And then I simply submit that to the dean of the student office, and then I don't have to be the judge. I don't have to be the detective, and then someone else will step in and do the investigation and the negotiation. Trust me, this is ugly. You don't have to get involved into this, okay? Well, if you are doing all the coding by yourself, that's good. If you have to do some Google searches, and then grab some other piece of the code from another resource, at least put a citation, put a hyperlink, and say, I grabbed this code from somewhere else, and then this is a hyperlink. That's also fine. But if you just copy someone else's work and then paste into your own notebook and then make a submission claiming that's your own, we are gonna have a very serious talk. Okay, and then the next part, having debugging. Well, I understand there will be a lot of time that you just get stuck into some really weird syntax error. And well, Python syntax is not so bad, but talking about the syntax in NumPy and pandas, and I do feel some of the syntax are kind of weird. Okay, well, and if you're doing R, and then R is weirder. So, well, Python, I would say, is not so bad. But anyhow, well, I can imagine that from time to time you will get stuck into some weird coding issues. And this is my suggestion: try your best to figure that out by yourself. This is called debugging, and this is the necessary skill you have to develop as a data scientist. Okay, and then soon when you are in the job market, and then you do have to solve problems by yourself independently, and then you can't bring a professor with you to the workplace, right? So try your best to debug your code, and if you really can't figure out the problem, and then I will be here and I'm willing to work with you. Okay, and then for cell phone use, the next part. Well, remember we only have a few face-to-face lectures, and in those face-to-face lectures, and if I find that you are using your cell phone constantly, and then you are distracting me and other students, I reserve the right to require you to turn off your cell phone and then put it on the desk face down. Okay, and for the assignment and exam, well, they have to be your individual work or the work from your team, but nobody else. Okay, and then if I see some of the code which look weird, and I may require you to explain the code, and if you are not able to give me a good explanation about the code, and I may suspect this is the code you copy from somebody else. And the last part, this syllabus is subject to change with reasonable notice. And why I'm doing that? Because do you remember the last semester? Well, probably you are not here last semester, but well, in the middle of the semester, if something happened that required me to change the syllabus drastically, and then I have to do that. Okay, and then for the programming language and library, we are doing Python, and make sure that you are using Python 3, because there's another older version, Python 2, and Python 2 is not died yet. And then from time to time, and you may see some weird Python syntax online, and they'll say they do print without parentheses, and that is the syntax for the old version of Python. So the old version of the Python 2, is still not died yet. Okay, and then okay, the next part, student learning outcome. Well, I do want to talk about this because, well, when I first started to design the 502, my question is, well, I understand Dr. Brown has already given you a lot of the skills, and well, it's almost complete, but there are a few missing pieces that I want to teach you from a computer science man's perspective. Okay, so Dr. Brown is a statistician, and well, and by the way, he's also a good programmer, and probably he's the best programmer among all the statisticians in UNCW. Okay, and well, after his course, my question is, what else do I want you guys to know to be a better data science student? Well, this semester we are not talking about machine learning, we are not talking about deep learning. Okay, those are topics for the next semester. But this semester, after Dr. Brown's course, what are still missing? And the very first part I want to say is, well, the visualization. Well, I do want to emphasize on visualization because, well, we are smart person and we are able to write 100 lines of code. However, when you are bringing your idea to other people, they don't want to see your code. They want you to talk about your ideas and your findings. And how do you do that? You have to use visualization. I mean, meaningful visualization to impress people, to convey your ideas, to sell your possible ideas to the possible stakeholders, right? So visualization is the number one important thing. And another thing is, well, I want to talk about algorithms. Well, this semester probably you may feel we don't really do a lot of complicated algorithms, and yes, you are correct. Well, and the reason I want to talk about algorithms is number one, in the next semester we are going to do a lot of the machine learning models. And for those machine learning models, and I will tell you, model 1 is slow, model 2 is faster. Why? When we are saying one model is slow, another one is faster, what are we talking about? And that is the time complexity. That is how we evaluate machine learning models. Okay, so to have a better understanding about how fast or how slow of a machine learning model, you do have to understand the algorithms. So I'm covering our I'm covering algorithms in this semester. So in next semester, when we are talking about the different machine learning models, and we can directly give you the solution and on how bad is model A compared to another model B. Okay, and number two, well, by understanding more about the algorithm, you can be a better computer science person. And you may say, wait, that's not right. I'm here to do data science. I don't want to do computer science. Hey, remember that if you are doing computer science job, well, if your goal is to do a data science job, well, there are a lot of job opening here. Okay, well, but if you put a lot of restrictions, say I have a family at Wilmington, I don't want to move, I have to stay at Wilmington, or say my hometown is at New Bern, and then after finishing this degree, I'm going to New Bern but nowhere else, and then you are putting a lot of restriction on the possibilities of finding a data science job. And if you are not able to find a data science job, and some of my students in this program, they end up doing computer science job when they go to the job market. Are they bad students? No. Are they big students? No. But for some reason, say they have already got a family, or they have to stay with their parents, and then they have to go to a small place. Finding a computer science job will be slightly easier than finding a data science job. So, well, just use the computer science job or developer job as a backup plan. I do want to train you guys to be strong data science people. However, for some reason, if you really have to do computer science job, and I hope you are ready for that too. Okay? And the next thing, object oriented. Well, we do want to talk about object oriented because we are using object oriented programming now in Dr. Brown's course and in my course too. And you don't really feel that. If you have no idea about object oriented, the problem is for some of the syntax, they look really weird. So, for the object oriented, I'm only giving you all the information you do need to do data science job. This won't be a full object-oriented course, and I'm not going to talk about design Pythons or software engineering. Just the basic object-oriented to help you understand some of the code or some of the syntax in pandas. And plus, after having the idea about object-oriented, when you are reading the official documentation of pandas, for example, you will see better what do they mean. So the idea of the object-oriented, that is the third thing I want to talk about. And the next thing, well, how do you use functions to design or redesign your code? Well, this is my favorite book, and we are gonna cover part of the content in this book, and especially how do you make use of the functions to make better code. Well, I'm pretty sure after finishing Dr. Brown's course, and you are able to write code. So you are able to write code. Good. Now, the next challenge is write beautiful code. Write the code that you are confident enough to put to GitHub, and then you are able to share with other people, and then this other your collaborator will say, okay, you are really a good programmer. You are not just a good data science person, you are able to write good code. And when I see your code, I know you are professional. That's the difference between having a full training of in a data science program versus doing some self-learning and then claim I'm able to do Python. Okay, and the last thing, well, this is related to the course project, and well, you should be able to do something big. That's important. Well, doing our daily exercises and writing 5, 10 lines of code and solve a small problem, that's important. And this is how you build up your skill. However, after you have built all the skills up, and eventually you should be able to do something big. You should be able to identify a interesting project, and then you look into the dataset, and you based on the dataset, and you evaluate what are the interesting questions to be answered, and then how you find the answer will be the next step. So you should be able to do the whole pipeline. Well, not really a whole pipeline, because we are not doing machine learning yet. However, from the dataset, and then move on to the interesting question, and then eventually being able to solve the problem. That is already a big enough pipeline, and you should be able to do this. Okay, and then there are a few other sections. I talk more about the academic integrity, and then the honor code, and then if you need special needs. Okay, if you need special needs, and then you should have a special accommodation letter. Just bring this letter to me, and then I will be able to figure out something for you. Okay, so I believe this video is really long enough, and usually I don't record videos more than 15 minutes. So I will see you in the next video.